Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is now just 103 days away from its official release by Disney, Lucasfilm, JJ, and crew that is all set and ready to end the sequel trilogy and the Skywalker saga that will be used in order to introduce many different revelations that will change how we view the past 8 Star Wars movies. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, what's really exciting about Episode 9 is that we do know that this film is going to be a very important film to Disney and Lucasfilm, and that they are taking very much special care with this movie in order to really make the Star Wars community very much satisfied with the very end of the Skywalker saga, and what they really want to do with some of the major characters like Rey, Palpatine, Luke, Kylo, and so on and so forth. Now, moving on forward, alright, now a couple of days ago we actually heard a lot more about the character of Rey and how she will be utilized in the movie. Even over at D23, JJ Abrams was able to answer many different questions, involving some of the characters like Luke, Rey, Palpatine, Kylo, Lando Calrissian, the list goes on. And what's really intriguing about all of this is that JJ Abrams states that he and George Lucas worked very closely with the decision of Dark Rey, and that the idea originally came from George, where he proposed that the concept would take place in the second act of the movie. It's explained that JJ states that George was very impressed with the finished product of Dark Rey after filming when the digital effects were added in, and that George was very moved with how Dark Rey worked on film. JJ explains that George was very happy with how Dark Rey was borrowed from his original idea of Luke's disciple having a dark side tendency, and that JJ states that George Lucas wanted to express the side of a hero's conflict in the actual movie. What it really means in the film is going to surprise many fans. So, you guys may or may not remember, but George had this original idea for Luke Skywalker's disciple, who is now Rey, and how that character would eventually have a dark side conflict at a certain point in time in the sequel trilogy. Now, back then, during the events of The Force Awakens, Disney actually denied this idea and didn't want to use that idea in Episode 7, and they tossed it to the side. Now they're expressing that idea in Episode 9, all thanks to George Lucas, and according to JJ, is that George was very moved and very happy with the decision of Dark Rey and how it's going to be utilized in the movie, and that there's more to it than what fans expect to see on the big screen. Now, obviously, there are tons of hints out there that this is just nothing more than a vision in The Rise of Skywalker. However, there's something behind that vision, and it most likely connects to the leaks that we have been going over, that it's indeed initiated by Palpatine, and that it's going to throw in many different hints and or indicators to Rey's real identity and or her bloodline in The Rise of Skywalker. So this vision is not just going to be a normal vision, it's going to be a core part of the plot, and that JJ and George worked very closely with each other in order to really make things work on the big screen. Now, what I like so much about this is that at the very least, it gives you an idea of what Dark Rey would really be like. Now, like I've always said before in the past, we do know that Dark Rey is going to be a big part of Episode 9. Even though that the scene is described to be brief, it's said to have a big impact on the character and, of course, on the audience. And you can really see the dark side tendencies that Rey has in The Force Awakens and in The Last Jedi. 2 prime examples. In The Force Awakens, she nearly kills Kylo Ren on Starkiller Base, even in the novelization of Episode 7. When you guys go ahead and read it, there's a certain point in time in there where it does indeed explain that she hears a voice in her head telling her to kill Kylo Ren, and she almost does it. The other thing is, of course, in The Last Jedi, where she's training with Luke Skywalker, Luke states that she went straight to the dark and that she didn't even try to stop herself. And that was yet another clue right then and there. The other thing, of course, is in The Last Jedi full trailer, in the very beginning, just before the Lucasfilm logo, turn up the volume, listen very carefully, it's there. You do hear Palpatine scream as she is wielding the ignited Skywalker saber. So there's a lot of things thrown in there, and how both JJ and George worked very close with Dark Rey. That was one of the big questions over at D23 when, that scene actually aired to the audience. A lot of fans were asking JJ Abrams, Kathleen Kennedy, everybody about Dark Rey and how it's all going to be used. They all stated that it's going to be a very big surprise in the movie and that it's going to be worked in ways that we won't really expect to see on the big screen. So how George was very moved by this idea and very happy of how it actually worked on the big screen really does satisfy me. You know, it really does tell us that they're using a lot of his original ideas of what he proposed to Disney when he sold off, you know, Lucasfilm to Disney back in, what was it, 2012? You know, those ideas were now eventually carried on over into The Rise of Skywalker, which I think just expands George Lucas's legacy into The Rise of Skywalker, which is a great thing to do for the fans around the world to make them very much happy and a little bit more satisfied. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.